How could you be right and how could he be wrong, Coach Greg? He used MyFitnessPal. You really think MyFitnessPal knows more how to track calories than Coach Greg?
Oh God.
Coach Greg, in today's video, we're going over Mr. Olympia Samson Dauda's brand new diet as he prepares for the Arnold Classic in 13 weeks. Many people are criticizing the diet, saying, how can he eat like this? There's no fruits, no vegetables, where are the nutrients? And people are saying, how can a man of 300 pounds survive on such a low-calorie diet? But on the other hand, we have people saying, this is a very high-calorie diet. What's wrong with you? Which is it? What is the best way to diet? And so let's get right into it. And so in meal number 1, it's 5 whole eggs and 1 scoop of protein. That totals 480 calories. He's using Hostiles protein, 110 calories, and 5 eggs. And so what do I think of this? I'm thinking he probably wants to have a low-carb diet when he wakes up in the morning. Perhaps when he eats carbs, it triggers him and he can't stop eating. And so if that works for him, it works for him. But remember, he has in fact been criticized in the past for not getting lean enough. He's won one time, and so in his last prep, it worked for him. And when you're dieting, if you're very hungry, you can add in more filler foods, namely vegetables and sometimes even fruits. That's going to give you more vitamins, nutrients, antioxidants, fiber, and allow you to feel more full. Even sebum, he has in the shredded lettuce. He's adding in the vegetables in order to be more full. And so I do think it would be better for him to add in some vegetables or some fruits, but perhaps he has problems with digestion. Meal number 2, 350 grams of sweet potatoes and 200 grams of steak. Now, when you say that, you need to be more specific. Were the sweet potatoes measured raw or were they cooked? Did he cook it in the air fryer, the oven? Was it boiled? Was it microwaved? Did he add any condiments while cooking it? Was it done with oil, olive oil, vegetable oil? And what about the steak? Was it a very lean steak or was it very fatty? And was the steak measured out raw or was it cooked? It can have a huge difference. It literally could be double or half of the calories. And so we don't actually know. And so although he's giving us what seems to be his diet, he's leaving out many details. It would be analogous to me saying, I had protein powder for breakfast. Well, how much? What kind? What did you do with it? And so if I say I had 1 scoop of protein for breakfast, was it this size scoop? What? Now, on average, 350 grams of sweet potatoes is going to have approximately 300 calories. But it depends. If you cook it in the oven and it dries it out and you add in some olive oil, it could very easily be doubling these calories. And so please be very careful. Now, 200 grams of a very lean steak, I multiply by 1.8 calories per gram. And so that's going to leave it at 360 calories. But remember, that's a very lean steak. If you're having a ribeye or having very fatty steaks, you can see all the marbling. The calories are going to be higher than last time. And so meal 1 was 485 calories. Meal 2 was 660 calories. But what about meal 3? Meal 3 is by far his highest in calories. 300 grams of pasta. I'm not a fan. Why is he eating pasta while eating on a diet? It's very high in calories. Now, depending on where you track your calories, you're going to get at various numbers. And so, for example, when I wrote on ChatGPT, I said, how many calories in 300 grams of pasta? I said between 450 and 465. But when I typed on it again, it said white pasta has between 330 and 390 calories, while whole wheat pasta has between 375 and 420. And so you can see, depending on where you go as your source of information, you're going to get different readings. Now, in the cookbook, I went and calculated the average of all the different sources. I wanted to know, what do the calories actually have? So I never took the highest and never took the lowest. I took the median. The middle number, the one that made the most sense. And so when you look at the calories listed in the cookbook, it's going to be very, very accurate. Not only that, I've included calories in vegetables, fruits, the fibers, and so on, so that you can look and make easier decisions than last time. Code Greg, 15% off. And so 180 grams of lean ground beef. Well, how lean? Is it 96% lean ground beef or is it 90% lean ground beef? I'll demonstrate the difference. If it's 90% lean, which is extra lean ground beef here in Canada, if it's 90% lean, that's 325 calories in 250 grams. But if it's 96% lean, that's 6 percentages leaner, the calories go down to 235. That's 90 calories less to go from 90% lean to 96% lean. And so can you see the difference? Oh, I had 180 grams of lean ground beef, and so tell me the calories. Well, it depends. It's like saying I had 1 scoop of protein. How many calories? Well, it depends on the size of the scoop, the brand name, and so on. When I design nutrition plans, coaching plans, this is the level of detail that I provide. I recognize that depending on your source of protein, for example, if it's eggs, fish, poultry, steaks, and so on, that everything is going to have various fat and carb content, and so the calories are going to be different. And so what did I try to do? I kept all the calories the same, but I adjusted the portion size. And so rather than saying to someone, have 8 ounces of steak or 8 ounces of fish or 8 ounces of poultry, I would say have this many grams of chicken versus this many grams of steak versus this many grams of this kind of fish versus this many grams of that kind of fish, because all the calories were different. And so no matter what your source of protein, you would get the same amount of calories. Same applied for the carbs. If you are having rice versus sweet potatoes versus pasta, I allowed you to have everything. It didn't matter what your source of carb was because I allotted for that when I came to the calories. And so if you were coached by Coach Greg, your calories, no matter what meal choice you had, there was a way to track what you were doing. In comparison, Samson Dauda's calories, they're all over the place. One meal has way more calories than the next. Whether he chooses whole wheat pasta or potatoes or rice, they're going to be different calories. If he chooses to have steak versus extra lean ground beef versus poultry and so on, it's going to have various calories. That is a mistake. I, in fact, think it could be better. And so although he's the Mr. Olympia champion, I do believe that if he had, for example, Coach Greg, rather than his wife designing his diet plan, he would, in fact, be able to get that much better. I'm not saying his wife doesn't know what she's doing. Clearly, she's done a good job. He is, in fact, the Mr. Olympia champion. But I am saying that a guy like Coach Greg that has been coaching people for decades can, in fact, help even more. And so I'm going to assume that his extra lean ground beef is not all that lean, that it's perhaps at 90%. And so I wrote 325 calories. And so for that meal with pasta and ground beef, it's 775 calories. That is a lot. It's a lot more calories than his other meals. Remember, there's still no vegetables and no fruit and no dairy. And so meal 4, 250 grams of chicken and a cup and a half of rice. Meal 5, the exact same thing. In the chicken, 325 calories, because in a chicken breast, there's 1.3 calories per gram. And so I took 250 calories times 1.3. It made 325 calories. But remember, if the chicken were the thigh, if there was skin on it and so on, the calories could be that much higher. And so just by saying you're eating chicken, it's not really all that specific. And so in meal 4 and 5, 625 calories each, total 3,165 calories. It could be more, it could be less, depending on his choice of meat. Calories, 3,878. Protein, 308. Carbs, 425. Fat, 111. Now, many people have commented saying this is an overestimation of calories. Of that, it is. I'm certain it's not 3,878 calories. Remember, I calculated 3,165. But you're saying, how could you be right and how could he be wrong, Coach Greg? He used MyFitnessPal. You really think MyFitnessPal knows more how to track calories than Coach Greg?
Oh God.
If you believe this, I'm not going to convince you otherwise. I have been obsessed with calories and foods since I was a little boy. I had my mom's calorie counter, started that when I was a teenager. It was from 1959. The calories were older than last time. I've entered 59 bodybuilding competitions, been dieting throughout my life. Do you not think I understand a thing or two about calories? I'm like a Rain Man when it comes to numbers. This is my thing, it's my jam, it's what I do. Now, ask me to memorize Spanish, very difficult.
I don't speak Spanish!
It's like white on rice or black on sebum. It sticks, but certainly not a 10 on Mike Israel. That don't stick for nothing. It's likely closer to 10 to 15 grams fat total for that steak. And so clearly the type of steak that you're using, it factors in tremendously. If you have a 10 gram of fat piece of steak versus a 44 gram piece of steak, it's going to make a huge difference in total number of calories. And so people are writing, how do we know that's the real diet? We don't. Do you all think that all Mr. Olympia competitors actually give what they're actually eating and they tell you all about the supplements they're using? Do you really think that Fuad Abiyat is going to let Samson Dauda tell you all the supplements that he may or may not be using? Is it possible that he's following this diet? Yes. He might be doing it exactly as it states. But again, how do we know he's not using and cooking it in oil? How do we know what kind of fat he's taking? What percentage of lean ground beef is he using? And so he might be on 3,000 calories. He might be on 4,000. It depends on the type of steak and pasta that he's using. Curious to know if that's raw weight or cooked weight. Imagine the difference it's going to make if his 1.5 cups of rice was raw or dry. It's going to be over 1,000 calories. What about 300 grams of dry pasta? Imagine the calories. And so I'm hoping that all of this is cooked, but you never know. Maybe some of them are cooked and some of them are not. We don't know. He doesn't say it. It'd be like a Mr. Olympia saying, here's my stack. I use Test, Tren, and Winstrol. Yeah? How much of it? And so wouldn't you think that Coach Greg perhaps knows a little bit, just a little bit, about getting ready for a competition? Left out the drugs, and so obviously that makes a big difference. Imagine if he were training 100% natural. Do you really think he could eat that much food? Absolutely not. Adding in the super supplements, probably going to burn additional 500 calories. And why? Because a lot of the food that you're eating, it's turning into muscle. It's called nutrient partitioning. And so if you're prepping for a show, natural versus enhanced, you can absolutely get away with eating more food when you're enhanced. Now, consider this. Whether it's 3,165 calories as Al calculated or close to 4,000 calories that man calculated, he's close to 300 pounds. It's not really a lot of food. But remember this, majority of the bodybuilders at the elite level, the highest of the highest, the best of the best, Hadi Chopin, Derek Lunsford, Samson Dauda, these guys are not bulking on ridiculous amounts of calories. Many people think these guys are eating 8,000 to 10,000 calories a day. Most of them are not. Derek Lunsford was bulking in the last year's offseason on 3,500 calories. Hadi Chopin, how does he look right now? Bro is shredded, single-digit body fat. And so you're all thinking, oh, you need to bulk and cut. Well, yeah, to an extent. You can't maintain 3%, perhaps 4% body fat year-round. They're bulking a little bit, but they're not bulking in the sense that you think that you need to be doing. If you were 3 or 4%, I'd be saying bulk. But if you're 12 or 15% body fat right now, it may gain. The works of these guys, none of them are bulking to 15% body fat. And so if you're already above 15% body fat, do you really think you need to bulk? And your response is going to be, and I already know your response, but they're on steroids. Half you guys are also on steroids. You don't need to bulk. And if you're on steroids, guess what? You probably need more calories than if you're natural. And so those of you saying, oh, I need to bulk because I'm natural, it's probably in fact the opposite. People who are on steroids are building muscle faster than anyone. And so they're the ones that need more food. But yet the top Olympia competitors, they're not bulking the way you see it. They get to a healthy percent body fat for them. Perhaps it's 10%, and they may gain from there. And then, of course, they diet down for bodybuilding competitions. Then they bulk back up to 10%. But if you're just a regular bro in the gym, you're not competing, just main gain. There's no reason to bulk to 20+% and so on, and then have to diet down. Now, one other thing I want to comment on his diet. How many of you notice a bunch of healthy fats? Did anyone see any fish, salmon, and so on? I didn't see any of this stuff. And so what I see is a diet I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's a great diet. Is it overly bad? No, it's working for him. But it could in fact be better? Absolutely. And so to me, he's succeeding despite the diet. The diet is not making Samson Dauda the man that he is. It's Samson Dauda himself. He has the amazing genetics and the work ethic that allows this to work. If you copy this diet, probably not going to work for you. I believe that Samson Dauda would look better if he added in fish into his diet, if he added in some salmon, haddock, trout, mackerel, and so on. And also, if he were to cut out the pasta and eat something different. Perhaps bro could try some oatmeal. Perhaps eat some potatoes. And why not eat some anabolic French toast? He's having whole eggs for breakfast. Why not dip them in some bread and cook it on a frying pan and add in some blueberries? Would that not be a better diet? What would be wrong with that? But remember, he doesn't want it. He doesn't need to. And if he's feeling extra hungry, of course he could add in some anabolic protein ice cream. Why not? And so I think his diet has room for improvements. He could add in some fruits and vegetables. Perhaps he just can't digest fiber effectively. But if you're asking me, he could certainly make improvements to his diet. It's too low in fiber, too low in fruits, vegetables, and dairy, and is too low in what I consider to be healthy fats. And so let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Do you like his diet? Do you think there's room for improvements? Or am I just a jealous manlet? Samson Dauda has amazing genetics and he gets away with this diet. This diet is not perfection. Of course it has room for improvements. And so I don't suggest you copy it. Does it work for him? Of course it does. Could he do better? I absolutely think so. Looking to get the best possible supplements, of course, pick up Turkesterone and GO2 Max. There's a money back guarantee plus a $20 gift card. The same applies to the Seco protein bars. We have so many various supplements here. Pre-workouts, harder than last time, G-Test, G-Focus, G-Wiz, we got everything. Get to the website, code Greg, 15% off. Now remember, none of this works optimally without your hormones in check. Are you experiencing symptoms of low testosterone? Are you deficient? Get your blood work taken. See, do you need HRT? Do you need peptides? What could your doctor give you to benefit you? I've partnered with Transcend. Click the link in the description if you want qualified doctors to go over your blood work, ensure that you're doing things optimally. Click the link in the description. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. Of course, cookbooks, training books, coaching plans by me and my team. The Circle Diet Book. You can get this all on the website. And if you have no money, get the free diet and training program. I've given away over 100,000 of these and join the 400,000 plus newsletter subscribers. And until next time, I am out.